Welcome to Should I Move There? Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Edmonton, the Sherwood Park area, with Rob Jastrzebski. Awesome,
You
Rob.
got it.
Let's go. Thank you for being on the channel today. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's not an easy name to pronounce. It's Robert Jastrzebski, originally born in Poland. But yeah, I'm a real estate agent here in the Edmonton area. Specifically, live in Sherwood Park since basically 2005. So, kind of my hometown, I guess. I'm basically just wanted to let everybody know that why I chose to live here are basically most of the reasons why most people choose to live here. So, yeah, looking forward to the interview.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm so glad we linked up. Let's dive into the pros. So, pro number one we have on our list, which is a special municipality destination area. So, talk to us a little bit about that. What do you mean by that?
So what's interesting is Sherwood Park, even though it's a larger population than what most hamlets have, it's actually the Canada's largest hamlet. So we have a population in Sherwood Park of around 70,000, and Strathcona County has a population of around 100,000. But because we're still considered a hamlet, that gives us the ability to receive grants and funding similar to rural areas from the government. So it's really beneficial that way.
You mentioned a hamlet. What do you mean?
Yeah,
What do you mean
that's
by
right.
that?
Well, hamlets are usually very, very small, even smaller than towns, right? But yeah, Sherwood Park has always kept that designation.
Got it. Okay.
If
Awesome.
that makes
I think I'm sorry. I think maybe I wasn't paying attention. So when you say it's eligible to receive grants and funding, like what kind of like grants or funding do people receive?
Well, it's not people, it's the municipality that receives these grants and funding for, say, developing community services or parks or natural areas, things of that nature.
Oh, okay. So like the government subsidizes like the area in a way.
For some parts of the communities, yes.
Got it. Like is it for like parks or is it for like roads,
Yeah,
bridges kind of thing?
yeah, no, mostly for parks, natural areas, things of that nature. Um, Roads, bridges, infrastructure, that's all handled by the property taxes, just like anywhere else.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Let's
Yeah.
go into pro number two, the low population.
Sure. So, just east of the Edmonton area itself. So, Edmonton itself is around 1 million population. We are under 100,000 as the whole county. Sherwood Park itself is only around 70,000. So, it's relatively easy to get around if you're just driving right across town. 10 minutes in any direction and you're pretty much across town. So it's very quiet by comparison. So if you're needing something specialized that you need to go to the big city, we're only 10 minutes away. So
Nice. That's okay. So you're small town, which honestly is a nice feel sometimes, and but you're not far away, or like you guys are close enough to get to downtown.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And let's go into number three, voted top places to live in Canada. Why? Why is this?
Yes.
What's going on? Why is this?
Well, so this was a survey done by Money Sense magazine, and they basically look at the economics of every municipality right across the country, and we enjoy having the second highest family income level in all of Canada. second only to Fort McMurray, which is just in northern Alberta here. And the reason for that is because we have a lot of the industry is right in the Strathcona County area. So all the larger refineries. And so we have a lot of very good paying jobs and a lot of businesses that are derived from that. The spin-off businesses, for example. And a lot of people choose to live in this area because we basically have, all the services that you would need from a larger center, but it's a smaller community, gives us the opportunity to have and enjoy the economic factors.
Nice. Okay, that's great. Yeah. Thriving economy is always a good one. Whenever you live somewhere, I feel like, I guess depending on life stage, but for the most part, I think it's always a good thing. Number 4 you have on your list is location. Talk a little bit more about the location, proximity to airport, things like that.
Yeah, so that's the other nice thing about Sherwood Park. When I first moved here, I was moving from another part of the province, and I was looking at where would I want to choose to live that's convenient, but I didn't want to live inside the big hustle bustle busy city. So I chose Sherwood Park because it's very conveniently located right next to Edmonton, literally where you can't tell where one starts and the other one ends. But yet we have many routes in and out of Edmonton area. So very, very easy commuting. As far as driving to the municipal airport, international airport just outside of Edmonton, only takes about 25 minutes. And they're really, with the highways and freeways, really hardly any lights to speak of all the way to the airport. So half an hour drive, 25 minutes is really an easy commute to the Edmonton International Airport. Sherwood Park itself is part of that large Strathcona County, and that encompasses some beautiful natural areas and parks. So it's really, really nice that way if anybody's into doing mountain biking, jogging, or just going to natural treed, forested areas. We have a lot of that here.
Nice. Yeah, I always hear Canada is beautiful. Like there's like so many great parts of Canada, and I see photos online and stuff, but I never, like, one day I'll go visit.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Like I guess, like, what's a popular destination people will go around the area? Like I guess, like, because we're kind of speaking of natural kind of beautiful stuff, outdoorsy kind of things.
So some of the areas around Sherwood Park itself, we have Elk Island National Park. So that's pretty interesting. Where you actually can roam around, and there are elk all over the place. So and the buffalo. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah. We also have just outside of here. I don't know if your viewers are aware of this or not, but where we live here is a very popular area with the Ukrainian population. So we have a little Ukrainian village that's kind of just outside of Sherwood Park, and it's almost like being in like heritage times back in like the early 1900s. They all dress up back in the area, and it's really, really cool. It's almost like going into like a historical heritage days.
That's so cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
I love when there's subpopulations within areas. Like, I think in Brazil there's like a small population of Japanese people, and like just from history and just like how things kind of just like mesh together. That's so cool. Okay. So location, yeah, you guys are near. Let's talk a little bit. So number 5, local economy for the pros. Let's talk about this more, because this really interested in me when we first met and started chatting. Dive into the local economy.
Yeah, so Sherwood Park is again, like I said, part of this Strathcona County area, and we actually have encompass the like a large cluster of refineries here. So we support the energy sector, and Alberta itself, northern Alberta, has is very rich in resources in the oil sands. So that's where they are. They start, and then the pipeline ends up over here in the Sherwood Park area, and this is where all the refineries are. So we benefit from that tremendously because the there's huge amounts of taxes that are being collected from these refineries, not just for the Sherwood Park area, but for all of Canada benefits from that. But Sherwood Park itself, just the property taxes that those refineries pay really help a lot in that regard. And then, of course, we have a lot of spin off businesses as well, whether it's directly related with the energy sector and the refineries, or just supporting businesses, whether it's restaurants or grocery stores, uh, and any businesses that you could imagine are available right here in Sherwood Park, and we actually really benefit from that, as well as, of course, it's a great community to raise your family because of the amount of high income earners we have here, and all of these refineries supporting the area. We have a lot of amazing community services, such as entertainment complexes, multidiscipline areas, golf courses. So it's really nice that way.
Nice. Okay, which is good to have like a diversified economy, like for the health of the area. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about the first industry you mentioned, which is oil. And for what's Canadian sand oil, correct? Is that the correct?
Oil sands, oil sands.
Oil sands. Okay, so it's a specific type of oil, that people or that they derive, right?
Well,
How does it work?
it's actually it's just the oil is still the same, whether it's the oil sands here, or say the oil that you would be familiar with in Texas. It's just that here the oil is inside the sand, under all of, say, the overburden that's on top of it. So you have to basically dig down to it, and then that sand is almost like a black sponge. If you squeeze it even by hand, you could see all the oil oozing out, seeping out. So basically it just needs to be processed, whereas, say, in Texas, you just poke a hole in the ground, and if you go deep enough, it comes gushing out. So it's a little bit of a different process. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember, because and I feel like in the States sometimes it could be a controversial topic on oil production and things like that. Although right now, getting oil from Canada seems like a way better option than getting oil from Russia,
Right.
as we are discovering.
Right. Right.
So I haven't heard any shade on Canada lately, any harsh words towards you guys. So that's interesting how, depending on what's going on, your
Right.
perspective changes.
Right.
And I remember something you said earlier, a couple weeks ago when we were talking. You said how it's an ethical way of oil production. Um,
Very much so. The Canadian oil production in general, not just in Alberta, but in general, we have the highest standards for oil recovery and oil production in the world, bar none. There is a lot of emphasis that the companies do put in to ensuring that the employees and everybody they do business with has a very high standard of living. They respect the agricultural areas. They respect the natural areas. They return any mined areas back to their natural habitat originally that was so it could support all the ecosystem. Um, there's Aboriginals here, of course, the oil companies work with to come together with special contracts to make sure that the Aboriginals are also being involved in every aspect of the process of actually even getting to those leases that they require to get to the oil sands. Um, and then, of course, I mean, if you look at some of the other areas in the world that are oil producers, we don't have child labor. We don't force people to do things. People just happily want to work in these environments because they know it's a very good quality, high paying job, and safety is paramount. You hardly ever hear of any incidents of loss of life anymore. Every once in a blue moon, yes, there is certainly accidents happen during maybe construction or something, but it's extremely rare. I actually myself used to work in this industry prior to becoming a real estate agent for 15, 20 years, almost of my first adult life. I worked at those oil sands companies, and I'll tell you, safety is paramount. They really focus on making sure that everybody does a safe job, not necessarily focusing on making it quick or profitable. So it's a very much an ethical way of producing the oil. And I can also add to that all the companies really do focus a lot on reducing the emissions as much as possible, and they invest billions and billions of dollars into research and development, and then implementing what they find into reducing those emissions.
Awesome. That sounds good. That you guys heard it from yourself, from someone directly who worked in the industry. So, yeah, what better person to get some insight on that from? Yeah, the whole industry. It's geopolitical, local political, nationally. It's just integrated into everything, I feel like. So, oil is here with us for a little bit longer, for sure, in for the foreseeable future.
Definitely longer than our lifetime. That's for sure. I mean, if anything has come to light with what's happening in the world right now, it's that as much as we all would love to just go and shift over to renewable resources, you can't just flick a finger and have it happen. There has to be a transition period where you go shift from natural resources that we're developing into renewables, which, by the way, all the oil sands companies that we have here in Alberta are all involved in research and development of renewable resources. They all, that's a big part of their business. However, the reality is it's going to take some time. So we have a much better source of energy that with much lower emissions than, say, coal, for example. So now if you're comparing what's happening in the world, in Europe, for example, they're struggling. So they're not using their renewable resources right now. They're going back to coal because they have to, because their other source of energy is being cut off by what's going on.
Yeah, I know it is pretty intense, like, to think someone can turn the tap off on you, and then it's like, all right, I have to find energy elsewhere. Let's hurry up because the winter's here. So
let's just go back to coal.
Yeah, no, it's really intense. So it's such an interesting topic. I've been following it for the past 10, 15 years kind of thing. But let's move on to the cons of living in the area. So the first one we have on the list is higher housing costs.
Yeah, so Sherwood Park is a little bit of higher housing costs than Edmonton, for example. In general, the Edmonton area, Edmonton is the capital of Alberta. The Edmonton area is actually, for the size of the population, is one of the lowest priced housing costs in all of Canada. But if you cut out Sherwood Park outside of the Edmonton area, then Sherwood Park does have a little bit higher average housing costs than in the Edmonton area, and that's because we are all the benefits. We are a smaller community. We are, a higher desirability factor. Sherwood Park also itself is kind of running out of space right now. So there is new areas that are being developed just outside of what is designated as Sherwood Park, but that all takes time, and they're actually just building there now, which is going to take a little bit of time for that to happen. So again, because of those factors, you have a little bit higher costs for the houses.
Got it. You see, like, I was just in Texas the other week, and in Dallas, and you can see how it's like it keeps going further and further out from like downtown. And there's like they've like leveled the whole area, so you could tell, you're like, oh, someone's gonna build there. Like, is it a similar kind of vibe like there?
Kind of, except we don't need to level anything because we have so much land. They just basically expand outwards. They will use up old farmers' fields, or in some cases, there's some forested areas. But in the greater Edmonton area, we have more farmland than forest. Forest is more further north, probably about an hour north of our area here is where the boreal forest starts.
Got it. Okay, sweet. Let's move on to number 2 on the cons list, which is it's close to the industry and refineries.
Yeah. So the pro about living here is because we get to benefit from refineries. The con is because we're right next door to them. So some of people, complain that, oh, look at all those fumes coming from the stacks of those plants. What they don't realize is that's 99% just steam. But every now and then, there'll be in some kind of an upset that happens in the plants, and there'll be a release of hydrocarbons that is burnt off by these huge flares. But you do smell something, a little bit of like, you can smell that kind of gas smell or diesel smell. We call it the smell of money. But you do smell that every now and then, and so because we're so close to the industry, and I mean, I like the pretty lights. It's almost like a miniature city, but some people are like, oh, look at that ugly plant, right? So that's one of the cons. Yeah.
Got it. I know, I love that. That's that's a good way to look at it. It's the smell of money, because it's true. It's true. That's just like, hey, that's how we make our money. Like, I don't.
It is. Just like ranchers, you know what that money smells like.
Oh, yeah. If you don't have good manure, forget it. Your harvest is not going to perform. Right. Let's go into the third one, which is limited transit services.
So Sherwood Park does have its own transit, and it's actually, is spread out quite well throughout the Sherwood Park area. We also have Park and Ride, that the transit system here. You can jump on there and go right directly downtown Edmonton. However, it's not like living in a big city. You can't expect the transit bus to pick you up every 10 minutes. It just doesn't happen that way. It's just too small of an area. So for anybody who does not have a car, it's a little bit harder to get around. We don't have a light transit rail system. Like if you're looking at the metro or something like that, that's only in the Edmonton area where you can find those kind of services.
Got it. Well noted. So you pretty much have to have a car if you want to get around.
Yeah, and you can probably find this online somewhere, but I believe 90-something% of the way people move around is by way of a car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a spread out community. Right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's see. Okay, let's go to number 4, which is no dance bars.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Sherwood Park, we have, a lot of community services here, a lot of great places for you to go with your younger kids, whether it be parks or spray parks or whatnot. But once you get into that phase where you want to go into a dance club, we don't have dance clubs here. You want to go to a dance bar, you're gonna have to go to Edmonton. And then later on, when you grow into the time where you're just wanting to go into to enjoy a glass of wine or a beer, we have plenty of pubs, but
Nice.
no dance bars.
Okay. What's a favorite pub that you enjoy that you might want to shout out?
I personally like the mom and pop shops, where they're local, not necessarily the chains. And one of the most popular sports pubs over here is Average Joe's. So if you're into sports, it's a large pub right in the center of Sherwood Park. Tons and tons of TVs everywhere, and every game night, no matter what the sport it is, there is lots happening there. It's the most popular sports bar we have in the Sherwood Park area. Yeah.
Nice. Right on. Okay, and let's go to number 5, the weather.
Well, the weather in Alberta in general is not as nice as California, for example. We do get all 4 seasons. So in the winter, like for example, right now we're filming this. This is beginning of November. We already had our first snow, and it's here to stay because it's cold right now. Right now we went from a really nice October where we were above average to now all of a sudden we got hit on November 2nd with a snowstorm, and it's here to stay because we're minus 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, which is I believe somewhere in that 20-degree Fahrenheit range. So it's not as warm as the southern states, for example. However, the one thing that is really nice is we get a lot of sunshine here. Even when it's cold, we get a lot of sunshine.
Yeah, okay, that's really interesting. It's interesting. The sun has so much to do, I think, with a lot of people's mental health. So it's interesting that you say that, because like, as compared to maybe like Washington or Oregon, where they don't get as much snow, but they also don't get as lot of sun during certain months. Most definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. So Washington is very similar weather to British Columbia. When British Columbia we're just, British Columbia is west of Alberta. So in the southern portion of British Columbia, where Vancouver is located, they have the same weather as Seattle. Just in the winter, it's just rainy, cloudy, overcast, very, very little sunshine. Where here in Alberta, especially up here in the Edmonton area, we get tons of sunshine. I believe it's over or pretty close to 300 days of sunshine.
Yeah, that's enough for me. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I get a little sad when the sun doesn't come out. I'm like, oh.
Very, very normal. Very normal.
Yeah. If anyone has any additional questions, we're gonna have all your information down below. Throw your information up top, and they can call, text, message you directly, get a hold of you. And if you guys have any questions, let Robert know, and he would love to answer any of those questions. So this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on the channel, and just give us a little bit of information about it.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.